Thank you for joining us for our monthly webinar series from Local Market Monitor, where we take a closer look at this month's National Economic Outlook, which was written by Local Market Monitor's president, Ingo Windsor. For those of you that don't know Ingo, he's been analyzing real estate markets for over 30 years and is a graduate of MIT and Boston University. He's not your typical economist and has a knack for taking complex data, extracting what is important, and providing unique insights and tangible guidance on real estate markets. So with that, I bring you Ingo and his insights on the economy.
Thanks very much, Carolyn. Every month, we look at the latest economic data to see what they can tell us about real estate markets, where they are now, and where they may be headed. Our underlying premise is that you make better investment decisions when you have a better idea of the economic forces that affect supply and demand. This month, we'll again review the situation of the overall economy where growth is slowing. That's pretty much like last month, though, so this will be short. Then we'll look again at the situation with home prices, and in particular, why they haven't come down after the huge boom. Let's start first by looking at jobs, our best short-term indicator of how the economy is doing. Here's a picture of the monthly increase in jobs compared to the same month of the previous year. After regaining many of the jobs lost during the pandemic, the rate of increase has slowed in recent months and is now just 1.5%. Growth at this rate indicates a vulnerable economy that any shock could quickly slide into recession. An additional worry is that even this low rate is mainly due to more rehiring. In other words, that the economy is actually doing even worse than this job picture shows. If people lose their jobs and then regain them, that's good, but it's not the same as creating additional jobs that will drive the economy forward. Let's have a look at the situation in the various sectors of the economy. Although fairly small, the construction is one sector where jobs are being added at a good rate. Not so much in home building, where builders have actually been laying people off for the past year, but in non-residential construction, things like schools and data centers. In the manufacturing sector, there has been zero growth for almost a year. Most of the jobs that went overseas were low-pay jobs, so bringing them back is impossible without new technology, which takes a long time to develop. We don't yet have robots that are good at sewing blue jeans. We also seem to be heading to almost zero growth in the finance sector, where the recent surge in mortgage lending is now over and computers are doing more and more banking. The retail sector is adding jobs at a very modest rate. This includes online retailers. The long period of restaffing at restaurants after the pandemic shutdowns is finally over. But the fact that new job additions are down to 1% means that people aren't eating at restaurants very much. In the large healthcare sector, jobs are being added at a 4% annual rate, far higher than the typical 2%. Healthcare is now the largest single sector of the economy, which would be fine if Americans had the best healthcare in the world, but they don't. Many of the added healthcare jobs are at nursing homes, which, very similar to restaurants, have been restaffing after pandemic shutdowns. Another area of strong job growth in healthcare is for home health services, where demand has jumped as other care becomes more expensive. Similar to healthcare, jobs in the large government sector are increasing at a rate far higher than normal, which is around 0.5%. A big reason is strong hiring at the state level, probably at state and community colleges, where large numbers of people were laid off during the pandemic. The surge of rehiring already seems to be slowing down. Our best guess of actual economic activity comes from the large business services sector, which provides services that all other businesses need. It's currently adding jobs at less than 0.5% a year. One reason is the large shedding of temporary workers, anything from receptionists to software engineers. Companies add such contract workers when they see new opportunities, but they've been firing them at a high rate for more than a year. Now let's talk about real estate markets and especially about home prices. Here's a picture of home prices in recent years, showing the pandemic boom when prices in some local markets shot up more than 40%. In the first quarter of this year, prices were still up 5% from last year. In a few weeks, We'll find out what happened in the second quarter, but it probably won't be much different. A boom of this size is almost always followed by a bust, but so far that hasn't happened. Why not? One reason is just the mechanism through which homes get sold. Agents list a home at about the same price as a comparable home that recently sold. Then, several months later, if the home hasn't sold, they'll reduce the price slightly. This process continued for a long time until a buyer is found, so the readjustment period after a typical boom can take years. Another reason is that this was not a typical boom. Not only did prices rise astronomically, higher and faster than we've ever seen, they rose in all markets. A typical boom affects just a few markets or only one. Once home prices get too high, people can just move elsewhere to get a better deal. But if prices are higher everywhere, they can't. A third reason, of course, is that interest rates have prevented many potential sellers from selling. Mortgage rates that were down around 3% in 2021 are now still around 7%. When you sell a home, it's usually because you're buying another one. But if you bought yours with a 3% mortgage, you'll have to trade that for a 7% mortgage on a much higher price. Not only do you not want to do that, your mortgage lender won't let you. And if a lot of people aren't selling, prices don't come down very fast. Here's a picture of monthly purchase mortgages, which are a good proxy for home sales. The chart shows the number of new mortgages above or below the normal level for that month. The large number of additional sales during the pandemic pushed prices up, and the large number of fewer sales since interest rates rose shows that the market for homes has shrunk. That's it. In this time of uncertainty, it's important for bankers and investors to stay on top of local economic and real estate developments. Local Market Monitor provides the data and analysis they need with local market reports and investors' metro analysis. Thanks very much for following along. This is our National Economic Outlook. I'm Ingo Windsor.